All right, so the glossary, or abscess, a collection of pus such as a boil, abscess in skin inside body tissues, can be swollen and painful. Adenoids, small lumps of tissue at the back of the nasal cavity containing cells that fight infection. Allergen, a usually harmless substance that can cause a hypersensitive immune system response allergy in some people. Common allergens include pollen, dust mite, feces, and foods such as peanuts. Anemia, any disorder caused by a lack of red blood cells or hemoglobin in the blood. Aneurysm, a bulge in the blood vessel caused by weakness in the vessel wall at that point. Some aneurysms burst, causing severe internal bleeding. Antibiotic, a drug that kills bacteria or stops them from multiplying in the body, used to treat bacterial infections. Antihistamine, a drug that reduces the immune system's reactions to allergens, used to treat allergic symptoms such as sneezing and itching. Antipsychotic medication, a drug used to treat symptoms of psychotic disorders such as delusions and hallucinations. Appendix, a small thin pouch found at the start of the large intestine in the lower right corner of the abdomen. Artery, a vessel that carries blood from the heart towards the body tissues. Arteries usually have thick muscular walls. Arthritis, painful inflammation of the structures within one or more joints. Common forms are osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Atopic, a term for the kind of allergic reaction often due to an inherent tendency to be sensitive to allergens. Aura, a sensory warning sign of a migraine or seizure, such as blurred vision, seeing flashing lights, feeling chills, or smelling strange odors. Auricle, the visible outer part of the ear, also called the pinna. Autoimmune, a term for any disorder in which the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues. Bacteria, of a type of single-celled organism found throughout the environment, including in the body. Some bacteria can cause disease, others are harmless or even beneficial. Benign, a term often used for a tumor or other growth that is non-cancerous. Blood cell, a kind of body cell normally carried in the bloodstream. There are three types: red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Bowels, another word for the intestines. Bronchi, the two main airways that branch from the trachea. Each bronchus leads to the lung, where it branches into smaller bronchioles. Bursa, a fluid-filled sac over or near a joint that cushions the bones and tendons from injury. Cancer, any disorder in which specific body cells mutate and multiply uncontrollably, invading other healthy tissue. Cancers may form tumors and spread via metastasis. Capillary, smallest type of blood vessels. Capillaries pass oxygen and nutrients directly to blood tissues. Carcinogen, any substance or agent that can cause cancer. Common carcinogens are tobacco smoke and ultraviolet radiation. Cartilage, firm rubbery tissue that cushions and supports body structures. Cartilage covers the ends of bones. It also forms structures such as the auricles and the larynx. Cervix, the neck of the uterus. Choroid, a thin layer of blood vessels inside the eye beneath the sclera. It supplies blood into the retina. Ciliary body, a circular structure behind the iris. It secretes fluid into the front of the eye and contains the ciliary muscle, which changes the shape of the lens. Coccyx, the small curved bone at the base of the spine, commonly called the tailbone. Cochlea, the coiled organ in the inner ear where the air vibrations sounds are converted to nerve impulses that are sent to the brain. Cognitive behavioral therapy, a kind of psychotherapy in which patients are taught to control disordered thoughts and behavior, often used to treat anxiety and compulsive actions. Colitis, inflammation of the colon, large intestine. Congenital, congenital, a term for a condition that exists or appears at birth. Some congenital conditions are inherited, others may result from infection or injury at birth. Conjunctiva, a thin, transparent membrane that covers the whites of the eyes and the inside of the eyelids. Cornea, the transparent domed structure overlying the iris and pupil of the eye. Corticosteroids, drugs that resemble the natural corticosteroids produced by the adrenal glands, used to help control reactions such as inflammation. Cyst, a closed sac in the body tissue that may be filled with solid material, fluid, or gas. Dermis, the lower of the skin, two layers. It contains hair follicles, sweat glands, sebaceous glands, nerve endings, and blood vessels. See also epidermis, dialysis, a procedure in which the machine takes over the function of the diseased kidneys by filtering waste products and excess fluid out of the blood. Diaphragm, the dome sheet of muscle that separates the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. It contracts and relaxes to aid breathing. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, the double helix molecule that forms the basic unit of all instructions for life. Edema, swelling in soft tissues due to fluid buildup. And bolus, a collection of matter such as a blood clot or a lump or fat of the air that blocks a blood vessel. Endoscopy, a procedure in which a viewing instrument is inserted into the body to enable users to see inside a body structure or cavity. Epidermis, the upper of the skin's two layers. It forms the skin surface and contains melanin, a dark pigment that protects the skin from sun damage. See also dermis. Epididymis, a structure at the back of the testicle that stores sperm cells until they are released in semen. Esophagus, the gullet, the tube through which food and drink passes from the throat to the stomach. Eustachian tube, a thin passage running from the middle ear to the pharynx. Extension, straining of the joint. Muscle that strains a joint is called an extensor, also flexion. Femur, the thigh bone. The lower end forms part of the knee. The upper end fits into the pelvis to form the hip joint. Fibula, the outermost of the two lower leg bones. See also tibia. Seizure. Flexion, bending of the joint. A muscle that bends is a joint. It's called a flexor. See also extension. Fluid retention. Edema. Follicle, a tiny group of cells forming a sac, often with new tissue growing inside it. Two main kinds are hair follicles and follicles in the ovary. Fungus, a single-celled or multi-celled microorganism common in the environment. Some fungi cause allergies or disease in humans. Gangrene, death and shriveling of body tissue due to lack of blood supply. Bacteria may infect the dead tissue, causing potentially dangerous wet gangrene. Gene, a section of DNA carrying the code for a particular body function. The human body has many thousands of genes. Gland, a group of cells that secretes substances into the blood, endocrine gland, or onto the skin. Exocrine gland, or for use in specific body functions. Heart, the hollow four-chamber muscular pump in the chest that propels blood around the body. Hematoma, a blood-filled swelling caused by a break in the blood vessel wall, may result from injury or from condition such as aneurysm. Hemoglobin, the red substance in the red blood cells. It carries oxygen for release to body tissues. Hernia, a bulge caused when tissue protrudes through the weakness in the wall of the area where it is normally contained. Hormone, a body chemical that regulates the activity of a tissue or organ. Hormones are secreted by glands or by other specialized patches of tissue. Humerus, the upper arm bone. The top forms part of the shoulder joint, and the lower end forms part of the elbow. Hysteroscopy, a type of endoscopy in which a viewing instrument is used to see inside the uterus to investigate problems. Immune system, the body-wide network of cells, tissues, and organs that fights infection and disease. Immunization, introduction of a weakened or killed diseased organism into the body to stimulate the immune system to attack that organism in the future. Immunosuppressants, drugs that reduce the activity of the immune system used to control inflammation or prevent rejection of a transplanted tissue. Incontinence, inability to control the excretion of urine or feces. Inflammation, an immune system response to heal injury, reduce irritation, or destroy infection may cause heat, swelling, redness, pain, or loss of function. Inner ear, the innermost part of the ear contains the cochlea, which governs healing, and the vestibular system, which controls balance. Intestines, long tubular structures in the abdomen. The small intestine extracts nutrients from food, and the large intestine extracts water and turns the waste into feces. Intravenous, a term used for a fluid given directly into the vein via injection or a drip, often shortened to IV. Iris, the color part of the eye, the muscular ring that widens or contracts to control the amount of light entering the eye. Ischemia, inadequate blood supply to an area of tissue due to blockage of nearby blood vessels. Itis, a suffix denoting inflammation of a body part, such as cystitis, inflammation in the bladder, or conjunctivitis, inflammation of the conjunctiva. Jaundice, yellowing of the skin and the whites of the eyes due to an excess of the pigment called bilirubin in the blood, can be a sign of liver disease or anemia. Kidney, one or two bean-shaped organs in the abdomen. The kidneys filter waste products from the blood to form urine. Labyrinth, the system of cavities deep in the skull containing the structures of the inner ear. Larynx, the voice box at the front of the neck, contains the vocal cords which vibrate to produce sounds. Lens, the disc of flexible transparent tissue in the eye lying behind the iris that changes shape to focus light on the retina. Ligament, a band of self-connected tissue that holds body structures together, such as bones in the joint. Liver, a large organ under the right hand ribs that plays a role in many vital processes, including processing nutrients, aiding metabolism, and breaking down toxins. Lymph node, a small lump on the lymphatic vessel where blood is filtered, also contains lymphocytes. Lymphatic system, a system of vessels that filters fluid lymph from body tissues and transmits it to the blood, also forms part of the autoimmune system. Lymphocyte, a type of white blood cell commonly found in the lymphatic system that fights infections in cancerous cells. Malignant, another word for cancer, is also used for any condition that starts severe and gets worse, such as malignant hypertension. Mammary glands, milk-producing glands found in the woman's breast. Meninges, the three membranes that cover and protect the brain and the spinal cord. Metabolism, the general term for the chemical processes that take place in the body. Metastasis, the process by which cancer cells spread from their original site to other parts of the body. Middle ear, the cavity between the eardrum and the inner ear. Bones in the middle ear transmit sound vibrations to the inner ear. Motor neuron, a nerve cell that transmits signals from the brain to nerves in other body tissues. See also sensory neuron. Muscle, body tissue that produces motion. Skeletal muscles move the bones. Smooth muscle pushes food through the bowels and blood through the blood vessels. And cardiac muscles powers the heart. Nerve, a bundle of neurons that carries electrical signals from one part of the body to another. Neuron, a nerve cell. Neurons receive electrical signals through fibers called dendrites and pass on to the signals down long fibers called axons. See also motor neuron, sensory neuron. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, a type of drug used to relieve inflammation, pain, and fever, distinct from corticosteroids. Osteophyte, a bony lump bone spur that forms at the edge of the joint, often associated with arthritis. Ovaries, in females, a pair of glands that produce eggs and female hormones. Palpitations, a sensation of abnormally strong or irregular heartbeats. Palsy, localized muscle weakness or paralysis, often with loss of feeling or uncontrollable body movements. Pancreas, a long organ lying behind the stomach and joined to the small intestine, which produces hormones such as insulin, as well as digestive juices. Parasite, any organism that lives on and feeds from another. Some parasites, such as certain worms, fleas, lice, and protozoa, can cause or transmit diseases in humans. Parasitic gland. The largest of the salivary glands in the mouth cavity. Inflammation of this gland is called mumps. Patella. The bone forming the kneecap. Pharynx. The throat lies between the back of the nasal cavity and the tops of the esophagus and trachea. Pinna. Another word for the auricle. Plantar fascia. The band of connective tissue running down from the base of the foot, from the heel bone to the base of the toes. Platelet. A type of blood cell that helps blood to clot at injured sites. Price, a form of basic self-treatment used to relieve muscle strains and ligament sprains, protect the affected area from further damage, rest the injury, ice the muscle or ligament with an ice pack, apply compression, and elevate the injured part. Prostate gland. In males, a gland below the bladder that produces fluid to carry sperm cells. Protozoan. A class of single-cell organisms that includes disease-causing parasites such as Plasmodium, which causes malaria. Pus. Thick, whitish fluid containing dead white blood cells and bacteria. Results from the immune system fighting infection. Radiation therapy. The use of high-energy radiation to kill cancer cells and shrink tumors. Radiation may be given externally by machine or internally via radioactive implant or liquid. Radius. The innermost of the two forearm bones, running from the elbow to the thumb. See also ulna. Rectum. The chamber at the end of the large intestine where feces is stored until it is excreted. Red blood cells. The oxygen carrying cells in the bloodstream. Retina. The light sensing layer of nerve cells at the back of the eye. Electrical signals from the retina pass along the optic nerve to the brain to produce vision. Sacrum. The triangular bone at the base of the spine comprises 5 fused vertebrae and forms at the back of the pelvis. Scapula. The shoulder blade. The flat triangular bone at the back of the shoulder. Sclera. The tough coating that forms the white of the eye. Scrotum. The sac that contains the testicles and related structures. Sebaceous gland. A gland in the skin that secretes sebum. Sebum. An oily secretion that lubricates the hair and follicles. Seizure. A burst of normal electrical activity in the brain that can cause muscle spasms and alteration or loss of consciousness. Semicircular canals. Part of the vestibular system in the inner ear. These 3 fluid-filled tubes detect rotation of the head and thus aid balance. Sensory neuron. A nerve cell that receives signals from nerves in the body tissues and transmits them to the brain. See also motor neuron. Sepsis. Bacterial infection in the bloodstream or in other body tissues can be life-threatening. Sinus. An air-filled cavity in the front of the skull lined with a mucous membrane to moisten and filter air as it is breathing. Skin. The outer covering of the body comprising the epidermis and the dermis. Spleen. An organ that lies beside the stomach. It filters blood, breaks down old or abnormal red blood cells, and contains lymphocytes to help fight infections. Sternum. The breastbone located at the center of the chest. It joins the 2 sides of the ribcage. Systemic. Affecting the whole body, such as the systemic drug treatment. See also tropical. Topical. Tendon. The fibrous, flexible tissue that joins the muscle to the bone. Testicle. The male sex glands which produces store sperm and secrete male hormones, also called testes. Thorax. The area comprising the chest and upper back contains the lungs and the heart. Thrombus. A blood clot in the blood vessel or in the heart. Thyroid. A bow-shaped gland in the front of the neck that secretes thyroid hormones to regulate metabolism and body growth. Tibia. The shin bone, the innermost of the 2 lower leg bones. See also fibula. The top end forms part of the knee. The lower end connects with the ankle bones. Tonsils. Lumps of tissue at the back of the throat that contain lymphocytes to fight throat infections. Topical. Localized, used for treatment that is only applied to one part of the body. See also systemic. Trachea. The windpipe, the main airway carrying air to and from the lungs. Tumor. A lump or growth of normal tissue. Tumors can be benign or malignant. Ulcer. A lesion that arose a patch of skin or mucous membrane to leave a raw, inflamed sore. Ulna. The outermost of the 2 bones in the forearm running from the elbow to the heel of the hand. Uterus. Uterus, two tubes that carry urine from the kidneys to the bladder. Urethra, the tube connecting the bladder to the outside of the body. Uterus, the womb, the organ in the woman in which a baby develops. Uvea, the middle layer of the eye, including the iris, choroid, and ciliary body. Vas deferens, tubes that carry sperm from each testicle toward the urethra to be ejaculated in semen. Vein, a thin-walled vessel that carries blood from the body tissues back to the heart, contains valves to direct the blood flow. Vertebra, one of the third-degree bones forming the spine. Vertical, a sensation of spinning, often with dizziness and loss of balance, may be due to head injury or problems with the inner ear. Vestibular system, the inner ear structures governing balance and body orientation, comprises the semicircular canals plus the uridical and saccule, which detect nodding or tilting of the head. Virus, a tiny microorganism that cannot grow or reproduce unless it enters a living cell. Viruses can cause diseases ranging from colds to AIDS. Monetary muscle, muscle that can be moved by conscious decision, usually refers to skeletal muscle. Vulva, the older genital structure in females. White blood cells, a diverse group of cells carried in the bloodstream and the lymphatic system that fight infection. And last but not least, yeast, a type of single-celled fungus. Many yeast live harmlessly on the body, but some can cause diseases such as yeast infection.